What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got another fun video for you guys. This one we're looking at an Azorious Flyers list. That's right, an Azorious Flyers. We have, it's been kind of a deck before, but the 2-drop slot was always a little lacking. But Ikoria, though, kind of changed that with Skycat Sovereign. It's a white and blue for a 1/1 flyer. However, it gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with flying. And it has pay 4 to create a 1/1 white cat bird creature token with flying. So it adds board presence and it builds itself even stronger with its own activated ability. 4 mana is pretty steep. However, this certainly can be relevant in the late game to kind of pump it up and kind of punch through for additional damage if you're maybe a little board stall against kind of some kind of a mirror match or something like that. But most of the time, you just want to get this out with a bunch of other flyers that you've already cast from your hand, and then you can kind of do some tricksy things to make it even bigger and kind of catch your opponent off guard. Especially works really well if they try to hit you with like a lava coil or shock or anything like that. And then you can flash something in and make it even bigger, so they just waste their removal spell. So playing this much more as a kind of a tempo build. So you're not going to see things like Winged Words or Rowie of Wings. So I've chosen to play this much more lower to the ground, a little bit more kind of flash speed a little bit. So at our top end here, we of course have all 4 Empyrean Eagles. It's our nice flying lord here, 2/3 flyer. All of our other creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So obviously if you get multiples down, that's pretty much game over. Brazen Borrower, just a fantastic card, fits in perfectly here. 2 mana, we can interact with any of our opponent's non-land permanents, and then of course we can flash it in as a 3/1 flyer. And Threnody Singer is my other 2-drop here. It has flash and 1/3. I do like the 3 toughness, and when enters target creature and opponent controls, gets -X/-0 until end of turn, where X is your devotion to blue. So we are kind of skewed a little bit more towards blue. So I do like this a little better than say the Fairy Duelist that gives -2/-0. That's kind of guaranteed, but that one only has 2 toughness. It's a 1/2. So I think this one just has just a little bit more upside with the 3 toughness and potentially even more X, even lowering your opponent's attacking creature's power even more. So I do like the upside of this, but also either way, it is a flash flyer, and I think it fits in pretty well, especially with the Skycat Sovereign. And the Brazen Borrower are fantastic cards to pair with the Sovereign. And of course, at the 1-drop slot, Healer's Hawk and Spectral Sailor are just kind of must plays. So then, other than that, I've kind of chosen to play a more tempo-y game. So Unsummon, since we are running flyers, if your opponent has flyers, we can unsummon and bounce anything on your opponent's side. And it works fantastic against removal to kind of protect your own creatures, bounce them back to your hand. Especially the ones with flash, you can just recast them on your opponent's end step, things like that. Glass Casket for a little bit of removal on your creatures on your opponent's side for a 3 mana or less. So obviously, nasty things like Priest of Forgotten Gods, Knight of Ebon Legion, things like that can get kind of out of control. Even Rotting Regisaurs, Annex. There's just so many good targets for Glass Casket. We do need that little bit of exile removal, in addition to our unsummons for tempoing out your opponent. And instead of Wing Words, I'm going to run Omen of the Sea. I think they fill a pretty similar function. But of course, Wing Words is a 3 mana spell that can be 2 mana, whereas Omen of the Sea is always 2 mana. You can play it at flash speed. You get to scry 2, draw a card, so I think that's pretty similar to just drawing 2 random cards. And then you can pay 3 to then scry later on in the game. So I think overall, I think Omen of the Sea is a little bit more interesting card for me than just the Winged Words. So I'm going to run that instead. And earlier card draw and life gain here, Staggering Insight. All of our flying creatures should have evasion, so you should be able to get this fairly easily. So just getting your creature +1/+1, and then lifelink, and then the card draw. Just fantastic card. Obviously, you have to watch out for some removal. So the other one is that 3 mana flyer that we got, the Skybonder or whatever it's called. I just think that card is kind of slow and clunky. If you want to go for more of a mid-rangey build on flyers, you could probably fit that in just fine, even just out of the sideboard. But I think flyers is just much better run as like an aggro deck because of all the tools you have with the Healer's Hawk, Spectral Sailor, things like that. And then the Eagle works so fantastic. And so for that mana base, kept it real simple: 7 plains, 7 island. 4 Hallowed Fountain, and then instead of the Temple, I'm going to run all 4 Fabled Passage, just for the upside that they can come in untapped, starting on turn 4, or with your 4th land, I should say. Instead of something that's going to come in tapped no matter what. The scrying is nice, but we do have the obviously other ways to get scry with our Omen of the Seas, and we have the card advantage of Staggering Insight, so we're not too worried about scrying with our lands. So going over the sideboard real quick. Grafdigger's Cage just seems like a must with all the graveyard shenanigans thanks to some of the new companion cards and whatnot. Gideon's Triumph. Figure there's a pretty decent chance with this list will be matched up against like a Dream Trawler type deck, and that would completely shut us down, so we do need a Gideon's Triumph to kind of shut those Dream Trawlers down and give us a fighting chance. And of course there's a ton of Enter the Battlefield triggers in Standard right now, so a couple Hushbringers. Of course it's a flyer, so it fits in fantastic. Aether Gust is also kind of a must with all the powerful red and green spells. Mono red, Simic, etc. And a couple more Cerulean Drakes here to give us some protection from those mono red decks. Just fantastic. Against them you can attack with all your other flyers and just leave Cerulean Drake back on blocks. And then we are definitely very vulnerable to board wipes. So Negate can come in to protect us from the Kaya's Wrath, Shadow of the Skies, and things like that. And when we need some more bigger removal, we're going to do a couple Banishing Lights. So that's pretty much the deck. Just try to keep it real low to the ground, really aggressive, and just kind of use your flash spells and things like that to kind of tempo out your opponent, and use those incremental advantages to close out the game before your opponent can really get anything going. So that's kind of the game plan here. Like I said, I did enjoy the Azorious flyers from previous standards, so I knew I was going to play this deck at some point. So I've been very careful, however, not to look at other people's lists. Alright, well, I think with double Unsummon, we're going to shock in Hallowed Fountain and play the Sailor. So that way we can Healer's Hawk next turn, and then still have blue open for an Unsummon. Okay, our opponent on Swamp. Okay, we drew a blue anyway, so that's great. So we can curve out with our Eagle. So there you go. So we can use these Unsummons offensively or defensively. That's why I love these cards. Okay, your Vampire of the Dire Moon. That's it. Okay. Now you can see our tempo plan at work. Oh man. Insight's pretty tempting. Let's go for Insight. The Healer's Hawk obviously does have lifelink on its own, but Spectral Sailor is also a pretty nasty target with the card draw ability, so... Cry of the Carnarium. What do we want here? So just bounce our own Sailor. So you're playing Vampire of the Dire Moon and Cry of the Carnarium. Doesn't make much sense to me, but okay. Pass, and we'll flash in the Sailor on their end step. Okay, so they're in 2 colors, not just mono black. Another Vampire, sure. So unfortunately, any removal spells will kill the Skycat. Disfigure, Soren's Thirst, whatever their removal spell of choice is. Another land. Just drop the Eagle and just hope they don't have another board wipe. Some removal spell, Murder. Okay, makes sense. So I chose the Skycat because it's the biggest threat. This is the reason to play the Skycat Sovereign, is it takes the pressure off your Eagle, so your Eagle can stick around as an Anthem effect. They're going to mutate their lifelinker, that's pretty good. Another land, that's not very good. I do need to find an answer for this 4/4. Grim Dancer, that's pretty good. flash it in. Let's draw so you can find an Unsummon or something like that. Oh, just another flyer. Not sure why they didn't attack there. Need to be leery of another board wipe. Well, that life gain is pretty nasty. And we still have our Petty Theft open, and we're getting a ton of life. And we just lost all of our tempo here. All the removal spells. Attack it in, but holding priority. Double green. Okay. You have a pump spell here? What's going on in double green with this kind of deck? I'm really not sure what they're holding up here. And the Cry is kind of a weird main deck when you're running 1/1s. Siphon is whatever. That's pretty cute. Oh, no block. Blue heavy. Unfortunately, we cannot cast our Sovereign, our Brazen Borrower, because of our Sky Sovereign costing white and blue. So I run the Fabled Passage so we can grab a island instead of a plains. We trade with their 4/4. Okay. You just manually tapped all your lands to do. Just checking to see how much mana you have. Play a 4/4. Yeah, we need to deal with that. Glass Casket does not hit the Rhino, but would have hit their Grim Dancer. Gravewaker. Well, had a pretty interesting deck. Probably want these Banishing Lights. Just shave off a couple Omen of the Seas. And Unsummons and Glass Caskets. Caskets should still work pretty fine. But mutated onto a Lifelinker was just brutal. And we were in fantastic shape there, and then they just started gaining 4 life every turn. And we could not find any additional interaction. And that's basically how that game went. Just want to get a card draw going on. They're running Cry of the Carnage in their main deck. I'm sure they just left it in against us, so maybe even brought in some Ritual of Sits. So rather than over-committing here, I think I'd rather just take it a little slower, try to get some card advantage. Okay, the Troll is kind of random. I guess a good creature to mutate onto. I mean, they were stuck on, was it green mana last time? No blocks. We're gaining a ton of life. I think here we're just Banishing Light on the Knight. I'd like to see some instant speed. There we go. There's blue. Okay. In that case, let's play you and just hold up the petty theft. It's not really a board that they're going to cry, I don't think, if they got the knight and the vampire down. To go for the mutation, we've got the Brazen Borrower. They activate it pre-combat. Thank you. You can attack in for 1 here. Go up to 13. No reason not to block the troll. Definitely want to deal with the vampire. I want them mutating onto it again. And now we'll just hold up the Spectral Sailors. This auto tapper is brutal. I should have noticed that. Tap the island. Just the knight. Okay. We found that little bit of interaction we needed, and we were able to get there. Sweet. Alright, something like that felt pretty good, so let's run it back. We tried to bring in some negates for those removal spells, but I think we're okay. Just spot removal, I think we can kind of play around that a little bit. Definitely leading on Hawk. The question is, do we Singer or Skycat on turn 2? Showing Forest first. I think we just go for the Skycat. If all the removal spells are 3 mana or more, then I think we're fine playing this out. And they're still missing black. That's beautiful. Let's go ahead and grab a blue source. You're pretty much always going to grab an island with your Fabled Passages. Of course, we got the nice flying lands here. I could have like a plummet or something, but don't really see that very often. I'll just draw some cards and then hold up Singer and Omen of the Sea next turn. Assuming we draw land. There we go. There's their black. Knight of the Ebon Legion. Let's go ahead and get rid of that right away. Swing in for 4, gain 4 life, and draw a card. Feels pretty good. Definitely not out of the woods yet here. It's going to be a little mana screw that's giving us a pretty huge advantage. Disfigure, sure. Down goes the Healer's Hawk. I think I'd rather just get another creature down, build up the Skycat, and we can hold up Omen of the Sea. Staggering Insight is pretty good too. Draw 2 cards, gain a bunch of life. I'll take that. Clock is quickly winding down. And we're at 34 life, so that bought us a ton of time. Wow, all the lands. Okay. Well, I guess we Omen of the Sea and scry into a creature. Four. Alrighty. So there you see the power of the tempo plays. Obviously, the first game we kind of got a little bit screwed over. We didn't have enough interaction, and our opponent was able to kind of take over the board. But yeah, once we found our interaction here in games 2 and 3, we were in fantastic shape. And of course, the unsummons at least give us a chance to kind of protect from removal spells. So yeah, this is the way I like to run my Azorious Flyers list. Let me know what you guys would do different. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. All right, take care.